Hi there. I just want to try and do a talk. I felt it was necessary to to do a video, and I want to talk about this picture for a start. This is what I've been going through a lot lately. Is this triangle of what's it called? The Godhead, or call it Source. And at the top of the triangle is the source, and the other side, I think it's the left-hand side, but I'm not sure if I know my left and right, but I think it's the left-hand side, which is the life, and the other, which is the lesson. But the source, the life, and the lesson are all the same, you see? They're all just different versions of the same thing. And what that means, it means that you are the source. The life is the source. The lesson is feeding and growing the source. The source is what is in presence right now. So people imagine that the source is like something separate. And if you break everything down and you consider the obvious truth that everything must come from nothingness. Non-existence has to be the start of everything. Then that means you only can have one. Because nothingness or non-existence is one infinity. So that means they can never be two. So everything is just a dream. Can only ever be a dream within that. It's like, my hand is touching this couch right now, but it's not physical. And science talks about how it's not physical, that everything is just virtual. But even if you're not into science, you just have to go back and consider the realization and realize that everything has to come from non-existence, meaning formlessness. And from formlessness, you can't really have form or something from nothing. It can only ever be a dream within nothingness. Right? And all we can be is awareness, but a perceptual state of awareness. And the perceptions of us is dictating how we decode reality. And that's it. If you have a baby, in a few years, that child will see reality a certain way, depending on how his mind is being molded through his parents and everything else. So that's what really shapes us. It's just a perceptual illusion that we're in. You can look at a picture as a whole picture, or you can look at the corner, you can look at anywhere, or you can imagine it's not there. It's endless possibilities, actually. It really is endless. Right, but the system is what the system does is gets us when we're young. Our parents have already been programmed. They program us. We go to school, that programs us. We go to university, that programs us. Our workmates go for nights out, and it's all molding and dictating your mind. And so we think that we're in a free world. This is because of soldiers, of the fact that they've died. But we don't live in a free world. We're like rats in a cage, going down this maze and thinking that we're actually free. And what's dictating this is the system with its perceptual manipulations. But when you awaken more, when you start to think deeply about this, you start, not even that too deep, but only a little bit deep, and you start to realize that hey, wait a minute, something's going on here. And that is when you awaken. There's not just one way to awaken. That is one way you could awaken right now, is just by looking at reality and thinking, wait a minute here. There's actually endless ways to look at things. Right? But we're always getting programmed that there's not. And who's telling us that there's not? The school system, the education system, which comes from the system. If you fly into a country, you don't get into the country unless you've passed all the necessary systematic things. Everything comes from the top. and is handed down. And we've got, and what I'm getting at is that we've got to realize that we are infinite, and we can feel and think anything that we want. It's all just perception. And you can change, once you change your perception, like this has happened to me in this unexpected spiritual awakening journey, once I change my perception, whole reality changes. And that's how you create your own reality. Everything's perception. And sometimes perception runs deep subconsciously, right? So so to evolve past this depression, what I had to do when I had this awakening was, obviously, the awakening showed me that I was in a little bubble, and that you start to change your perception, and then that creates a different reality. Same kind of thinking creates a certain reality, and once you change your outlook, things change that way. It's like abundance. What's the law of abundance? It's presence. And that's also how I tap into this knowledge. But back to what we are, regarding the source thing, you are the source. Everything's just imagination. Even the thought of the source being somewhere comes from an imagination, a thought of it being somewhere, that has to come from our perceptions that have been molded to think that there's a somewhere and there's a God somewhere. If you were made to think and look at reality from a different point of view, you would look at it from a different way. So everything is that, you see. Right? Everything is that. Like I was saying earlier about physicality. You could actually touch something with your hand and meditate upon it, and it could get like lighter and more meditative, is that a word? And like that. But someone could have another experience of touching a couch or something physical and not have that experience. It's just different ways of viewing things. But the system is dead set on convincing you there's only one way to look at the world. That's why they create right or wrong. We've got to realise there's infinite ways to look at things. And the reason there's infinite ways is because that's what we are. We are all infinity. That's it. Right? Infinity and that infinity of nothingness, awareness, is just dreaming of a life, so what you really are is the source, but dreaming of what you're currently experiencing. And the only thing that actually is real is actually here right now, present. That's the only thing that is real. And even that isn't real, really. When you really go deeply into realness and you think everything has to come from non-existence, you can't ever really have an existence. It's like when you dream at night. You go and you don't fall asleep till there's black nothing or nothing. But even the colour black is a colour, it's a something. But it can't ever be a something if, like I say, everything has to come from formlessness, nothing. That means, how do you know that that something is really a something if it comes from nothing? So that's why I say, to me, it can only be a dream then. Because in a dream, when you dream it, you know it's not really real, but you can experience something. But, like I say, if everything comes from non-existence, what else can it be? This has to be a dream. And even if it's not a dream, and even if you think of reality as a dream, you're not going to worry about it so much, and you're going to have a much better reality. That doesn't mean to say that you should do nothing about what's going on with the smart grid, because it's still going on within this dream, right? And if it's something bad's going on, then you should act. You should act, and and back to what we are, and this triangle thing. That's what I perceive all the time. Today I was on a bus, and I could see. I've heard about the violet flame, and my third eye is very strong, and I was seeing this violet flame. I'm not into colours. You know, I don't believe in it because, like I said a moment ago, everything has to come from formlessness, but there's something to it, and I think I might look on the internet and see what it means when you start seeing this violet flame. I might do that later on. But I think I'm just going to end it there. And if you're watching, you're meant to watch it. Everything follows the divine order and divine timing. You are infinity. Everything comes from non-existence. So this has to be a dream, like I say. That's my theory on it anyway. Don't know what else it can be. But then again, there's an infinity of potential what it could be. So think of that as well. But anyway, I'm just going to leave it there. Thank you for watching.